Yo, what is up, my friends? It's your boy Steve from Straight Fire Picks. We got all your NFL picks here for you today. We got Week 1 NFL spread and total picks for every single game. We're going to cover every game here on the slate for Week 1. Super excited about it. Let's have a great season.
Well, my presence isn't real. It's another bad one like this is scale. It's straight fire. All my bets straight from. You're in the house that Cap made now. Straight fire.
As always, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Always appreciate that. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Appreciate all of your guys' support as always. Let's get after it here this week in NFL, guys. Super excited to get after all the action and cover every game here on the slate. We're going to have a spread pick and a total pick for every single game on the slate. Best to use for pick'em leagues, survivor leagues, stuff like that. These are our official picks for the week. We'll have that out later in the week, as far as officially what we're putting money on and stuff. These ones are just to give you kind of a basis for every game and the action. So let's get after it. Like I said, hit the like and subscribe. Check out the pinned comment and description for any links you guys are looking at here at the channel, membership, merchandise, and social media links. Without further ado, guys, let's get right after it. Let's get right into the games here today. We got the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles here for our first game. This is going to be Thursday, September 4th at 8:20 p.m. So obviously this is going to be kicking off the season. The Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions, taking on the Micah Parsons-less Dallas Cowboys. So it should be a very interesting game, obviously. This one's tough. Coming into this one, I really like what the Cowboys did in the offseason. I don't like that they lost Micah Parsons, obviously. But they did add Miles Sanders in the run game, Javonte Williams from the Broncos. I like those additions. And, of course, George Pickens on the offensive side. So I think that will give them a little bit more offensive consistency that at times they lacked last season. I think, particularly Miles Sanders, veteran running back. Same thing, like I said, with Javonte Williams. Obviously, George Pickens, you guys know what he can do. Putting him across from CeeDee Lamb. Super excited to see that and how that pans out. And then, obviously, the Eagles, bringing pretty much everyone back with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. You guys know what they can do. But I see this as a weird spot. I think the opening game of the season, I think we're going to see a bit of a letdown here. I think everyone's expecting the Eagles offense to come in and roll and absolutely, light the Cowboys up. I'm seeing just about everybody taking the Eagles. -7, -7.5. And I can't say I blame you for it, but this is what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see a Super Bowl hangover on Thursday night. I really do. I think they're going to come out a little flat. And now that the Micah Parsons situation is behind the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys with these offensive additions, I think they're going to be able to do some things offensively. I think this defense will rally a bit. I think they'll show a spirited effort and keep this one close. I'm not saying the Cowboys win, but my official picks for this game, I am going to take the Cowboys to cover the +7. I'm going to take the under 47.5 points. Like I said, I think we're going to see the Eagles come out a little flat. I know it's more of a hunch. Just because we sometimes see this, with Super Bowl teams, they're going to get lost in the celebration of that Super Bowl, obviously. And then when kickoff starts, I think the emotions of getting up for kickoff, I think is just going to be a little tough. Obviously we've seen it in years past. I think we could see that happen here. And I think the Cowboys cover, and I think we see the under hit as well. As, like I said, with the Eagles offense, I think being a little slower this night, I still think they're going to pull the W. In a very close, lower scoring game. But I think the Cowboys cover and we have the under hitting. So love those picks for that game, guys. Next on tap, we got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. This is on Friday night, September 5th, 8 o'clock in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So this is the Brazil game this year. Starting at 8 p.m. Excited, obviously, for this one. Seeing this game in Brazil, obviously, that's going to be interesting in and of itself. This one, obviously, this is, the Chiefs coming off a Super Bowl appearance. Obviously, they had another good season there. Travis Kelce got engaged to Taylor Swift in the offseason, so there's enough distractions here for this Chiefs team. Are they focused as much on football? I think this team has shown its consistency over the years. It's hard to say that they're not going to be. I think there could be some distractions, though. I think Travis Kelce is starting to check out. His play has definitely declined over the last couple of years. So he's not a guy you could really count on. Rashee Rice, obviously, not going to be in the lineup here for a while. I think those are definitely going to take a toll on the Chiefs' offense. Who's Mahomes going to really rely on? Obviously, Xavier Worthy comes to mind. But I think there's going to be some trouble here early on in the season for the Chiefs, particularly without Rashee Rice. And like I said, I don't trust Travis Kelce as much anymore. One of the greatest all-time tight ends, but obviously he is he's Mr. Taylor Swift now. He's probably going to be Travis Swift. So he's going to have to take her last name. I think that's just the way it's going to go down. I'm just joking, guys. I don't know what's going to happen there. I've seen a lot of different takes. But that, Taylor's obviously not going to give up her last name because she made her name off that. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, not really that big of a deal. But the biggest thing I'm looking at in this game is the left side of the Chiefs' offensive line, led by rookie Josh Simmons and Kingsley Sumoataya converting the left guard. He was actually benched last year after 2 games. So converting him from tackle to guard. We'll see how that goes. I think that left side of the Chiefs' offensive line could be in trouble. Like I said, that is a vulnerability certainly there for them. I think they will struggle offensively. Still think they'll show up defensively. Obviously, his Chiefs defense is very good. But as far as if you're looking offensively, I think the Chargers are going to have an advantage there. This will be a lower scoring game. That is why I'm going to take the under 45.5 points in this one. And also the Chargers to cover the +3. Now, all these spreads and stuff, guys, I'm going to say these are not the best numbers. On the Cowboys, you could probably get 7.5 on some books. On the Chargers, you could probably get 3.5. The spreads and totals I'm presenting to you, the spreads are presented by Pool Host. I'm picking these on Pool Host as they are here. So that's how I'm representing them. But just so you know, you probably can get a better number on a book if you're taking these on a book, just so you guys are aware. The totals are presented by FanDuel. So all the totals I'm listing, I pulled these off of FanDuel. So I'll just keep that in mind. I wanted to keep things consistent, though. But obviously, I would take the better number if you can get it. But I'm confident enough to take these first two without the extra half point. But it is a critical half point, don't get me wrong. I think the Chargers straight up win this game, though. I love their offseason additions there with Najee Harris and bringing Keenan Allen back. I really like those additions. And this defense is still going to be pretty dangerous there with Khalil Mack and Derwin James. I like what they have there. I think the Chargers finally break through here. Another year here with Jim Harbaugh for Justin Herbert. I think that's going to pay dividends here. I think the Chargers win this game outright in Brazil. So give me the Chargers +3 and the under 45.5 points. Next game, we're jumping to Sunday, guys. We covered our Thursday, Friday games. We could jump into Sunday. We're going Chiefs-Chargers. We just covered that. We're going Buccaneers-Falcons, excuse me. 1.5 point spread here in favor of the Buccaneers. Total set to 46.5. This game going to be down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta. Obviously, it should be a fun game to watch. Michael Penix Jr. getting his first real full season under his belt here. He obviously got a few starts there at the end of his rookie season. So we'll see how he does. Obviously with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. They have some talent there on the offensive side. So we like seeing that there from them. And the Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield. You guys know what he's been about the last few years. Baker's played very well with the Bucs. His first couple years down in Tampa. Got himself a nice contract there now. They added some talent in the receiving core that was already pretty good. With Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they added Egbuka from Ohio State, who's a pretty highly touted wide receiver. So I think that'll definitely add some depth to this receiving unit. Obviously, like their, I like the offensive side of the ball in particular for Tampa. I think we could definitely trust them to move and score the ball, particularly against this Atlanta defense, which is kind of the weakness right now for Atlanta. They're projected to be the weaker part of the unit here. If you're looking at offensive defense is definitely supposed to be weaker. So I think Tampa will be able to score certainly against Atlanta. I think Atlanta will be able to score against Tampa for what it's worth too. So that's why I am taking the over in this game. We'll take the over 46.5 points here. And I'm going to lay the -1.5 here with the Bucs. I think the Bucs here cover the -1.5. Like I said, I trust their talent, their wave of talent a little bit more. Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the Sigbuka guy, Baker Mayfield, the veteran quarterback. I think they get this done here. And we'll see what the Falcons got. They haven't really proved much. Even under Michael Penix Jr., I haven't seen much from them to make me think that the Falcons are going to have a breakout season. I just don't see it as of yet. So give me the Bucs minus 1.5 and the over 46.5. That's our first 1 p.m. game that we got there. Next up, we got the Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. 5.5 point spread in favor of the Bengals. Browns are 5.5 point underdogs, obviously. Total here is set to 47.5 points. This should be interesting. The veteran Joe Flacco getting a nod here for the Browns. Backing him up, Dylan Gabriel. And, of course, Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, he had a lot of attention in the offseason for where he was drafted in the 5th round. Had an interesting preseason. Came out in his first preseason game, lit it up. And then the last chance that he got didn't particularly play well, whether it's his fault or it's a situation that he was put in. You could definitely debate that. But that is the depth chart as of now. Obviously, Joe Flacco has definitely still shown ability in his older age to move the football and score some points while he's been with the Browns. Obviously, he took them to the playoffs a couple years back and played very well in the playoffs. So very interesting there with him. And obviously, the Bengals offense, they're absolutely stacked. You know, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Ewis Savis, love their tight end. And Chase Brown, of course, running back. They have a very talented, fast offensive unit. They're definitely going to put up points on the Browns. I'm very confident in that. And then I think the Browns are going to be able to score a little bit here as well. This Bengals defense, one of the worst in the NFL last season. I'm not going to put a lot of trust in them early on in the season. Trey Hendrickson, held out, obviously, for the Bengals there. Their only really star player on the defensive side. So he didn't get the offseason reps that I'd like to see, but he'll probably still be fine. But even still, I don't trust the secondary of the Bengals. I think they give up some yards and points. At the end of the day, though, the Bengals are just going to keep it rolling every drive. I think the Bengals are they're going to jump out of the gate here early in the season and have a much better start than they had last year. They were terrible at the beginning of the season last year. I think they get off to a much better start, and I think they do some good things here early, and Joe Burrow is going to be able to move the football and score. So give me the Bengals minus 5.5. We're going to take the Bengals there, and give me the over 47.5 points. Like I said, I think both these offenses will be able to move the ball, but like I said, at the end of the day, I think the Bengals are just going to keep it going a lot more consistently, obviously with Burrow and all the weapons that he's got. Give me the Bengals to cover, and obviously it's over to hit. So I love it there for that game. Next game, we're on to the Dolphins at the Colts. Spread here set to 1.5 in favor of the Colts. Kind of surprising when you think about it, right? What are the books onto here? Because, when you first kind of look at this on the surface, you're like, Tua versus Danny Jones. You're taking Tua, right? The receiving unit of the Dolphins are taking them. Waddle and Tyreek Hill, obviously. Running backs, obviously Jonathan Taylor, might have to give the edge to him. The front 7 of the Dolphins, definitely give them an edge, probably here over the Colts. So this is a very interesting spread, which is why I had to think about this one a lot. Because I'm like, well, the books know that we don't know here. Well, this is one thing I'll say about the Dolphins, and something that maybe we don't put enough stock into. And I heard Damian Woody talk about it today on ESPN. He said the vibes down in Miami just aren't good. And he made a very good point there. With the beef that's, gone on between Tua and Tyreek Hill, different things like that. The energy down there, I'm just not sure about the energy in Miami right now. So there's definitely, a little bit of animosity. Is the togetherness there with the Dolphins? I don't know if I see it there from them. And so when those things are in question, that obviously will impact the play on the football field. And I think that could come into play here versus the Colts. The Colts are kind of an interesting case. They got Danny Jones starting at quarterback for them. That was definitely a surprise. He won the job over Anthony Richardson. Obviously, we expected to see Anthony Richardson, and we got Danny Dimes in there. So maybe Danny Dimes kind of refines his form a little bit that he got a couple years ago when he led the Giants to the playoffs. I think he's in a better situation in that the Colts can run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. I think that suits Danny Jones very well because obviously he likes to use his legs as well, so they can create more options, more play action. So maybe Jones benefits a lot from that. I could see him maybe benefiting a lot here from that because obviously Jonathan Taylor is a very high level running back, one of the best in the game. So we'll obviously see what he's got. But, the fact Danny Jones won the job for the Colts kind of says something. Maybe he's turned the corner a little bit. And like I said, maybe we see Danny Jones from a couple years ago. And with Colts being at home here, I started understanding the spread a little bit more. When I really started thinking about it, from those perspectives, the vibes and stuff. Vibes are big, guys. Vibes are big. So I'm actually going to take the Colts -1.5. I'm kind of going to go, I think, with the books here because I feel like a lot of people on the public are going to bet the Dolphins here. So give me the Colts. I'm going to go the other way with this one. I think the Dolphins is definitely what you call a attractive pick. Just in terms of if you're looking at this one down the slate, initially it was to me, but I'm going to take the Colts. And we're going to take the under 46.5 points as well. Like I said, with Jonathan Taylor, Danny Jones running the ball, eating up some clock. The formula for Indy has to be a lower scoring game, right? And by the way, real quick while I mention this, my boy Johnny B. Blank helped me with these picks, so I want to give a little shout out to him. He's helped me run through the slate, so definitely had his thoughts here on these. But really like what we got here today. I think the Colts could control this game a little bit on the run and kind of get Danny Jones going with the run game as well. So give me the Colts -1.5, under 46.5 points here in the Dolphins-Colts game. That is a 1 p.m. start time in Indy. Okay, next we got the Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Got a 3-point spread in favor of the Jaguars here. This game down in Jacksonville at 1 p.m. Everbank Stadium. So Jags obviously a very disappointing season last season. They were pretty awful, to be honest with you. So does Trevor Lawrence bounce back this season? I do think so. I think we see more of the Trevor Lawrence from a couple years ago. I think he'll be a lot more effective than he was last year. I honestly think he'll hit the ground running a lot better. And I think Jacksonville's a much better team than they showed even last year. And obviously the addition of Travis Hunter, obviously that's the biggest, really the biggest name addition that they got. A guy that can play both sides of the ball. Obviously he'll give them some great versatility and depth. Will it show itself in week one? Don't know if it's going to show itself that big in week one. But as far as if I'm looking up and down the Panthers and the Jaguars roster, I'm going to take the Jags roster at this point in time. Just even in terms of the quarterback, we have a big edge there with Trevor Lawrence, and they're at home. Just a 3-point spread. I know the Panthers definitely improved in the offseason. Bryce Young definitely looks a little bit better. But, man, until I see it consistently from the Panthers, I am not buying stock in the Panthers right now. Give me the Jags -3. That's what we're going to take there. We're going to take the under 46.5. I think this total set a little bit high here for what we're working with. Like I said, Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence weren't the greatest, haven't been the greatest, particularly obviously last year. We saw some improvements from Bryce Young. Trevor Lawrence struggled. I just don't see this being an extremely high-scoring game. I do see the Jags winning and covering, though. I think they got enough here to get this done. Tank Bigsby. And like I said, I think the addition of Travis Hunter should definitely help them, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Give them a little bit more versatility. So definitely like that there. So love it for that game, guys. Jags -3 and the under 46.5. Okay, now we got the Raiders at the Patriots. We got -3 on the Patriots. That's the spread for this game. Like I said, that is pool host. Total here is set to 43.5 points. This game at Gillette Stadium, 1 p.m. in Foxborough. So obviously a lot of headlines here, a lot of different faces and new places. Stephon Diggs, Carlton Davis, Mike Vrabel for the Patriots, Coach Mike Vrabel, new head coach. Carlton Davis coming over from Detroit, who I really like, a standout corner, I think. Had some injury problems last year, but I think he's a great corner. And Stephon Diggs, I think also is kind of under the radar right now. He definitely showed some flashes in training camp. And I think he's going to be a phenomenal addition for this Patriots team. I really do, especially for the young quarterback there in Drake May. I think Stephon Diggs is going to make a huge difference. So I put a lot of stock in that, to be honest with you. The Raiders, I think, made some improvements as well. They got, obviously, to me, one of the more respected head coaches to come back out of retirement. Raiders coach Pete Carroll, who's in his 70s. Oldest head coach in the league. Very interesting there, obviously. And he brought Geno Smith in with him from Seattle. So obviously, two guys that you can trust. Geno was obviously very solid there with Seattle, and obviously Pete Carroll, what he did for years there with the Seahawks, turning that franchise around. I think it's going to take some time for the Raiders to really turn things. It's been a while since they've been good. Patriots have a history of winning. Obviously, in the years of Brady, Belichick. I know it's been different the last couple of years. But they brought in some of the familiar faces, right? They brought back Mike Vrabel, which I think is huge for the morale of this team. I think that's going to be huge. It's going to lift up the spirits of everybody. Obviously, in New England, the fan base and everything. I think there'll be some good energy here. And like I said, I love the addition of Stephon Diggs. I think this is going to play huge dividends with the young quarterback there in Drake May. We saw it in training camp, these two hooking up in training camp. I think you're going to see it here early on in the season as well. I have to actually drafted him on my fantasy team because I do believe in Stephon Diggs. I think he's still got something left in the tank. And he'll be a nice veteran presence there for Drake May. And then Carlton Davis, like I said, I think he's also under the radar because he got hurt. But he's another guy that I really like him as a corner. I like what he was doing in Detroit when he was on the field. But here early in the season, give me the Patriots -3 at home. I think they definitely cover this. And give me the under 43.5 points. I don't think there'll be an explosion of points in this one. But I think the Patriots going to have enough here to cover. And I think this game will still be fairly low scoring. Max Crosby, the Raiders, still going to do his thing. And obviously Mike Vrabel, defensive-minded coach. He's going to be able to get this defense locked in a little bit here for the Patriots as well. So, all right, next game. We got the Arizona Cardinals at the New Orleans Saints. 6-point spread in favor of the Cardinals. So this is the Saints are 6-point underdogs here at home. Total here set to 42.5. So this one should be pretty interesting. 1 p.m. at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. So like I said, some interesting storylines here. Obviously with Spencer Rattler getting the starting nod for the Saints now. He won the job there in the preseason over Tyler Shaw. Should be interesting. I think 6 points is a pretty big spread for the Cardinals to cover on the road. If this is at home, I might take the Cardinals at home. But this is in New Orleans, so I think the energy in New Orleans here. New head coach Kellen Moore, who I'm a big fan of as well. He used to be on my Lions. I think Kellen Moore is obviously a very good offensive-minded coach, as he was there last year with the Eagles on that Super Bowl run. Really got him the job here in New Orleans. So I think the offense is going to look pretty strong here early on. I think he's going to put Rattler in some good situations to be successful. They actually have a lot of talent. And they added Brandon Cooks back to the team. Early on in his career, obviously he was a Saint. He returns to the Saints as the third wide receiver. You got Chris Olave, Shaheed, who had some flashes last year. And then, of course, like I said, Brandon Cooks, the vet. That's a nice little wave of talent they got there. A nice balance there with Cooks now, with the vet in that lineup. I like seeing that. And, of course, the vet, Alvin Kamara. You guys know what he can do. He's obviously very good running back here for the Saints. So I think the Saints are going to be able to score here. Kellen Moore, offensive-minded coach. I think they'll be able to put some drives together and keep this game close and also score some points. On the flip side, I think the Cardinals are going to score as well. The Saints' defense is really the problem right now. So they might have some trouble here versus Arizona. I think this total's set a bit low. I think you'll see both teams be able to get after it here and score. Third-year coach here for the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon. Kind of perceived to be on the hot seat now. They're like, the rebuild is over. It's time to get this thing moving in the right direction. I think the Cardinals showed some good flashes last year. Murray really put together a much better season than he's had. And also his defense was looking a little bit better. So, obviously, I think now is the time for Gannon. But I think here, guys, at home, I'm going to take the Saints +6. And also give me that over 42.5. Like I said, I think both offenses will be able to score. And I think the Saints at home could keep this close. I know it feels a little dangerous because the Saints feel like straight ass, just to be honest with you guys. But I think they'll be able to keep it close. So love it there for that game. Next game we got the Steelers at the Jets. We got the Steelers favored by 3 here with Aaron Rodgers. So this is another very interesting storyline. Aaron Rodgers already returning to the Meadowlands returning to MetLife Stadium. here for the Steelers. Obviously, the Steelers getting him in the offseason. Should be very interesting. Total here set to 37.5 points. Very projected to be a very low-scoring game. Obviously, you can understand, with Justin Fields, we're anticipating some running of the football here. And some defense. So that's definitely what we're projecting here. 1 p.m. start time at MetLife, like we said. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers here with DK Metcalf and company. A lot of expectation, I'd say, in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to live up to those expectations that they got. Even with him playing decent last year, obviously the Jets were pretty awful. As far as record and, consistently like moving the ball and generating good offense. I don't know if that improves for Rodgers in Pittsburgh. I don't know if that offensive line of the Steelers, I don't know if I really trust them. It kind of feels like the same situation he's going into in Pittsburgh that he was in New York. They do have DK Metcalf. They did add him for what it's worth, but they had George Pickens and they got rid of him. So I don't know about the Steelers offense. They've never really been that good since Roethlisberger. I'm not sure Rodgers at his age makes the big difference there. And then Justin Fields probably fits this offense a little bit better. Actually, with Breece Hall and what the Jets are going to try to control that clock, run the football, should be pretty interesting there. Obviously, the Jets got Aaron Glenn from the Detroit Lions and former head coach Steve Wilkes on the defensive end. So I like what the Jets did. I like Aaron Glenn a lot, and I like the addition of defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes as well. And I do like some of the pieces that the Jets have in place with the running game and Breece Hall. And I think Fields at times has been underrated. I think he's capable of leading an offense and being on a winning team. He got the Steelers off to a great start last year. In some ways, I don't know why he was benched. There was a lot of people that didn't think that should have happened, but it did. But give me the Jets +3 here. I think they cover. And give me that over 37.5 points, as my buddy John said, on principle. This total is just set really low. I don't think it'll be that hard for us to get to 38, even if this is a defensive game. 21-17, anybody? Doesn't feel that crazy, does it? That's still not that high scoring. So I think we can still see points. I think there's still some vulnerabilities in the Steelers defense. At times they've gotten gashed. We've definitely seen that in years past. And I'm not ready to jump aboard and trust the Steelers defense even. The more thing that holds them together is their name. A lot of people say Steel Curtain. Well, they really haven't been that great lately. So give me the Jets +3 and the over 37.5. Next game, we got the Giants at the Commanders. We got the Commanders favored by 6 here. Total set to 45.5 points. Another interesting, some interesting additions and things here in this one as well. This game will be at Northwest Stadium in Washington, D.C. at 1 p.m. So obviously we talked about the additions. Russell Wilson, starting quarterback of the Giants. He was obviously the quarterback of the Steelers last year. And he's another one of these guys that I'm like, this dude can hit the home run ball, sure. He's got a great deep ball, always has. But just the consistent moving on the football, I do not trust him to do anymore. I just haven't really seen it from him the last few years. He's always been a guy that could create with his legs, obviously throw the deep ball. I think he's lost a little bit of that mobility. The dude gets sacked a lot. We're going to be saying the Giants' offensive line is terrible because Wilson's going to get sacked a lot, regardless. It's just what happens. This dude gets sacked a lot. So I don't trust the Giants to score. I really don't at this point. I think they'd be better off with Jackson Dart, but they're not going to start him in week 1. I think they probably should if they want to win this game, but they're going to start Wilson. I like Russell Wilson. He's a classic, but like I said, consistently moving the ball has not been his forte of late. Like what the Commanders did in the offseason, adding Deebo Samuel, I think that's absolutely huge. I think it's going to make a huge difference in this offense. The dude is a straight playmaker. Adding him with Terry McLaurin, I think that's obviously going to be very good for them there. So I think, the Commanders going to be able to score enough here. I think the Commanders going to be able to cover the spread at -6. Give me the Commanders -6. And give me the under 45.5 points. I know anytime you take like a -6 spread and you take the under, it feels weird. But that's honestly what I see happening. Obviously, they could miss. But I think the Giants are going to really have some problems. I don't particularly think the Commanders are going to go crazy. I think, this could be 24-7 to me. This could be 31-7. This could be 24 to even 17 if you want to give it that. We're still on the money on all those scenarios, so I think that could happen. So love that game, guys. Those are our picks for that one. Commanders -6 and the under 45.5 points there. All right, Titans at the Broncos. We got the Broncos favored by 7.5. Total set to 41.5 points. Very interesting here. Obviously, Cam Ward making his first career start as a rookie on the road in Denver. I think it's going to be a pretty tough ask. Broncos have one of the higher touted defenses coming into this season. So this is obviously about as bad as it gets for Cam Ward as far as the situation he's put into. He's getting thrown to the Lions then in week 1 here, going at Denver against this defense. And in Mile High Stadium. So I think it's going to be very hard, obviously, for him. This game's at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time and Power Field at Mile High in Denver there. Like I said, Broncos 7.5 point favorites, total 41.5. Give me the Broncos -7.5 and the over 41.5 points. So Titans defense is awful. I think the Broncos are going to absolutely roll in this one. This is actually my survivor pick as well. This is our survivor pick of the week here. If you guys want to know, this is it. You guys got to pay attention to find this out. This is our survivor pick, though. This is the one I'm most confident in. I'm kind of going with the formula. Whichever minus spread I'm the most confident in is going to be our survivor pick, most likely. And here it's definitely the Broncos. They are the biggest spread on the board. But I honestly think they're going to absolutely roll in this one. I think Cam Ward might throw a couple pick sixes. They should be in your fantasy defense spot if you got it. And Bo Nix, building off of last year, obviously he was fantastic last season. A lot for him to build off of from last season. Obviously with Sean Payton, this offense is going to be pretty good. They should be able to decimate this Titans defense. So, I think it's tight. 41.5. I could see it going under too, but I'm leaning to the over. I'm going to take the over 41.5. Obviously we don't know everything yet. It's week 1, guys, but give me the over 41.5. Broncos -7.5, and this will also be our survivor pick here on the Denver Broncos money line. So love it there. Next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. We got the Seahawks as 2.5 point dogs, 2.5 point underdogs. Total here set to 44.5 points. Very interesting here. 49ers have won 6 of the last 7 meetings here with the Seahawks. They have dominated this series. They did lose the last game, however, though, 20-17. So this should be interesting here. Obviously, the Seahawks look completely different than they've ever looked. No Pete Carroll, no Geno Smith. They got Sam Darnold and head coach Mike McDonald in there now. So now we're going to find out if Sam Darnold's for real, right? I think a lot of people looked at last year and said, well, he was the product of a good system. And honestly, if you guys watched that playoff game versus the Rams, he started looking like the old Sam Darnold again. So does he come out and look like the old Sam Darnold again? I think it's possible. Just being honest with you. They got rid of Metcalf. They got an old Cooper Kupp. And obviously Jackson Smith and Jigbo is very good. But Cooper Kupp was let out the door by the Rams, which was kind of surprising. But he didn't get a lot of volume at all at the end of last season. So the Rams lost faith. They saw something. Sent him to Seattle. I'm not that confident in him up in Seattle anymore, to be honest with you. I love Cooper Kupp too, but I just don't know if that's going to be enough for Darnold. Darnold obviously worked very well with the speedy, shifty receivers they had in Minnesota of Addison and Jefferson. I don't know if Cooper Kupp's going to cut it. To be honest with you, as a number 2 option. I don't see it happening. I think we could see Darnold turn back into the old Sam Darnold. And if that happens, then the 49ers will most definitely cover in this spread, regardless of what they lost. Because I think Brock Purdy is going to be more solid. I think the 49ers still have some weapons with George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. And obviously they've got some new receivers now that you got to get used to. But I trust Kittle. I trust McCaffrey. And I think, just historically, the 49ers have done pretty well up in Seattle. So I think they cover again. Give me the 49ers -2.5 and give me the under 44.5 points. So like I said, I don't particularly trust either of these offenses too crazy. I trust the 49ers more, which is why I'm taking the -2.5, basically taking them to win. But give me the under here. I think this will be a little bit more of a lower scoring game. Seahawks obviously lost Metcalf. They lost the explosiveness. Obviously, you guys know the 49ers lost Samuel. They don't have Brandon Ayuk right now. So I don't see this being a very high scoring game. I just see the 49ers winning. And at that point, I think they cover. So give me 49ers -2.5 and the under 44.5 points here. Also, Robert Sale is back with the 49ers, which I think is significant as well. That should help them out defensively. All right. Now we got the Lions, Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. Packers 1.5 point favorites here. Total set to 47.5 points. So this is interesting. Obviously, I am a Lions fan, so this is dangerous, guys. Just be careful while you're listening to me here. Obviously, the Packers added Micah Parsons, so that's huge. He is a little bit dinged up. His back, he's going to require an epidural, some type of injection in his back to keep him alive and well. He's technically listed as questionable. He should be playing, though. But he'll definitely have some rust to shake off. As you guys know, he held out. Didn't do a lot there with the Cowboys in training camp. So he's definitely, I'm not too worried about Parsons' impact in week 1. I think it'll be very limited. And he'll have limited snaps. He should have limited snaps as well. I don't think they're going to just go crazy with him in week 1. Could be wrong. They might. And then we got the storyline of Jordan Love versus Jared Goff. Obviously, Love, some people are saying this dude should be an MVP candidate. I say check yourself on that. His receiving core, I don't think is good enough to carry him to that. I think Love, if he had better receivers, I think possibly, but I'm not a huge fan of his receivers, Dobbs and Jaden Reed and stuff. They're decent, but they're not all pro to me. I think the Lions have a lot more all pro on that side of the ball. You know, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I take all those guys over any of the options for the Packers. Besides maybe Josh Jacobs at running back there for the Packers. I think he could definitely give Detroit some trouble. But I think, to me, the Lions are much more complete here, particularly offensively. Obviously, the two running backs in Gibbs and Montgomery, Jared Goff, what he's been doing the last couple of years, and those receivers with Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Still think they're going to have a lot of success on the offensive side, even without Ben Johnson. Defensively, they should be a lot better, too. This defense is healthy. So I think the Lions are going to score a lot of points today. I think the Micah Parsons impact is going to be limited. Give me the Lions plus 1.5, and I'm going to take the over 47.5 points. I think it's tight. I think that total is tight because I think the Lions defense will be solid. I'm not, I don't think the Packers defense is that bad either. But when these teams got together last year, Detroit, they put up some points. So I think we could still see that. I think you'll still see the explosiveness. We got enough guys on these teams here to hit this over. So Lions plus 1.5 and the over 47.5 points here for that game. Next, we got the Houston Texans at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams 2.5 point favorites here. Total set to 44.5 points here for this one. 4:25 p.m. Eastern start time at SoFi Stadium. Obviously, Rams are supposed to be one of the best teams in football this year defensively, and obviously with Matthew Stafford, they added Devontae Adams in the offseason. So this offense should be pretty good. Obviously, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams should be a great combo there. And obviously, with Kyron Williams at running back there, I'm very confident in this Rams offense, for sure. Even against the good Texans defense, I think they're going to be able to score quite a bit here. And same thing with the Texans. I think the Texans will definitely be scoring in this one as well, led by C.J. Stroud. But I just trust the vet Stafford, and I would say that the Rams being at home as well, I think that also helps. I think they're definitely worthy of being 2.5 point favorites. So give me the Rams minus 2.5, and give me that over 44.5 points. I think we'll see points in this one. Obviously, I think the Rams can be able to move the ball. Same thing with the Texans. I think we'll see, like I said, I think we'll definitely see points in this one. But give me the Rams here as a minus 2.5 here to cover. Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. We get the Bills favored by 1.5 here. Total set to 52.5. So this is your biggest total of the week. So it's definitely a bit wild here for week 1, right? We got Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, guys. two of your top fantasy football options, two of your former MVPs. So there's going to be points on the board. No doubt about it. There's too much talent on the board here. Offensively, with Allen, Jackson, Derrick Henry, obviously. So I think we're going to see moving of the football. We're going to see points in this one. So I'm actually going to take the over 52.5 points, as wild as that sounds. And of course, we're going to take my Bills minus 1.5 because they are at home. And the Bills have fared okay versus the Ravens at home. Obviously, in the last two playoff appearances, the Bills at home have won those games. So I think it's going to be a closely contested game that could honestly go either way. But the home crowd, the Bills being at home, could make the difference here. So I'm going to take the Bills minus 1.5 if I'm making a pick here. And like I said, I think this over is actually going to hit. I know it's crazy, but I see the over here hitting at 52.5. And then finally, we got the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. We got the Bears as 1.5 point dogs at home here. Total set to 43.5. So obviously, you guys know the Bears got my boy, Ben Johnston from Detroit. He's a great offensive mind, great offensive coordinator. I think he's going to be very good for Caleb Williams, obviously, there. I'm excited. I don't like the Bears, obviously, because I'm a Lions fan, but I'm excited to see how he does. I think he will have success. I think he's obviously a very smart guy, a very brilliant offensive coordinator, and we should see that on display here in Week 1. And J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings. So this is what we talk about with Sam Darnold. So is it the system? Is J.J. going to be great like Sam Darnold was? A lot of people tend to think so. I think it's certainly possible. But on the road in your first start versus the Bears in a divisional game, I think it's a little tougher. Caleb Williams has the experience edge here, so I'm going to give the edge here to Caleb Williams and offensive coordinator Ben Johnston. I personally think Ben Johnston's the most brilliant offensive mind in the game right now. So pair him with, obviously, you guys, Caleb Williams was one of the more higher touted picks in draft history last year. I didn't think he was personally that good. I still don't, but I think Ben Johnston's going to help him out a lot, and I think he's going to maximize his talent. I really do believe that. So give me the Bears plus 1.5 here. I'll take them on the spread. They could technically lose and us cover. That's unlikely, but I think the Bears do win this game being at home. And I'm going to go with the under 43.5 points. I think the Vikings are going to really struggle with J.J. McCarthy here early in the season. I don't think it's going to be easy for him at all. I think the Bears are more apt to have offensive success here, but the Vikings defenses are no slouch either. They could certainly make the game difficult on you as well. So I think both defenses are going to have success here, but I'm going to give the edge to Caleb Williams to pull it out. So give me Bears plus 1.5 and the under 43.5 points here. All right, guys, that is it for all of our picks. We covered every game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, hit the like and subscribe button. Always appreciate that. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. As always, I appreciate all of your guys' support. And hopefully, obviously, we can have some success here with these picks and have a great first week here in the NFL. So we have our survivor pick is obviously the Denver Broncos on the money line. I took them in my survivor pool. Let's go Broncos. They should be able to get it done there versus the Titans. Like I said, we covered all our spreads and totals. We'll keep track of those. We're not these are unofficial bets, so keep that in mind. Unofficial picks. We'll have our official picks here at the channel running later on in the week for NFL. We'll be covering each primetime game Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, and then we'll have a video for Sunday football as well. So keep that in mind. Other than that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Please share the video. Please like it. All that good stuff. Outside of that, guys, that will do it for me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.